Hello, my name is John Malloy, and I'm the superintendent in the San Ramon Valley Unified School District. And I am very excited to be here at the Global Student Success Forum. I'm also grateful to be working with Rosedale International Education and Rosedale Global High School. It's a privilege for me to be with you because I do believe it is so very important for us to think about the education we are providing our students at this time in our very rapidly changing world. First, a little bit about me. I have been an educator since 1986. I have served in Ohio, I have served in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, and now in California. I've been a teacher of English, a guidance counselor, an assistant principal, a principal, an assistant superintendent, a superintendent, and a director of education in Toronto. And I've also been an assistant deputy minister at the Ontario Ministry of Education. I share all those experiences because it has provided me a real important opportunity to think about education in a number of different contexts and with a number of different perspectives. And I would like to share some of those with you today. For any of us who have been educators for some time, we've been talking about the transformation of education for a while. Terms like personalized learning, differentiated instruction, problem-based learning, competency-based education, to name a few, have been around for all of the decades that I have been in this wonderful and important field. So what is it that keeps us from being able to make some of the important transformations that are required for our students? And I'm not saying there are no examples of this, but I wouldn't yet say that we are in a place where our system is actually transformed in the way that our rapidly changing world demands. Just thinking about some of the things that have happened in the last couple of decades, and even in the last few years, and even right now, as we think about artificial intelligence, for example, it does speak to the importance of thinking differently about education. It demands that we not just think about the content that our students might need, but also the skills and the aptitudes and the competencies that they require. And I think that as we spend some time together today, I'm going to invite you to think about the ways that your program, the learning opportunities that you provide your students, are actually deepening their skill as well as their capability. So let me talk a little bit about Ontario, where I spent 28 years of my career. And back in 2003, we were provided a really amazing opportunity. A new government came in, and they brought with them what was called the Student Success Initiative. This initiative was so different than anything I'd experienced before, because it really talked about how we were approaching the learning process. It spoke about the importance of developing deep, personal, and effective relationships with our students. It talked about how we were to broaden the opportunities that our students had to learn and to grow. And it also looked differently at the entire educational process, starting with the students' interests, strengths, passions, and needs, thinking about various pathways that students might participate in, thinking about the foundational learning in a way that offers students the ability to own that learning through their own voice and experience. Differentiation and personalization was at the heart of this work. The reason I share it is because the Ontario Secondary School Diploma, which you are all very much familiar with, has its roots in this very important work that started back in 2003. And what Ontario taught me is the importance of clear policy and meaningful curriculum, the importance of building capacity in our staff, and always focusing on students. That work that we were able to undertake for over 15 years provided so many deep and significant learning opportunities from great thinkers all across the globe. And what they also invited us to focus on at that time was how critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, communication, and character and citizenship would be very much a focus, along with all of the fields that presently and then historically were studied by our students in our classrooms. So the Ontario Secondary School Diploma does demand that we focus on those significant skills. It does expect a deep understanding in subject areas, but it also invites students to really connect with the world around us, to really think about the problems that need to be solved, to work together so that insights, perspectives, and ideas are better than any one of us could ever create. And it also was very clear that success was not just graduation. That's an important milestone. But success means that we are preparing our students for life beyond high school. And I felt as a high school teacher and as a district administrator that the invitation to think about curriculum, teaching, and learning differently was so very important. And I'm grateful that I had that foundation in Ontario, and I think fondly about my experiences there, and I trust that your connection to Ontario is rich as well. And now I'm in San Ramon Valley Unified School District in Northern California, just outside of San Francisco. Very different place, different country, different geography, but I'm still working on, with my team, some of the same important characteristics of effective education. Here we started with our vision. We are broadening the definition of success on the foundation of academic excellence so that all kids can thrive. This vision is important because we are a community where education is honored. We are a community where students strive to get into the best colleges. We are a community where students want to be the best they can be. But what we've learned is that if our definition of success is too narrow, then what happens is our kids might be great students, but they might not be effective learners who are curious and independent and confident, who love learning and who take ownership for their learning. That is why we are broadening the definition of success. We're broadening that definition also so that kids can thrive. In other words, we want our students to be great students and happy, healthy human beings who will contribute effectively to our world. And to that end, we've created our learner profile. Our learner profile focuses on the important skills of collaboration, critical thinking, communication. It also focuses on helping our students be adaptable learners. So again, the critical thinking allows our students to synthesize, analyze, and go way beneath just knowledge-based instruction. That creativity allows them to think outside the box and to create something that doesn't even exist based upon all the learning they've experienced. Their collaboration allows them to work together effectively. Their communication allows them to articulate what they're learning, what they're reflecting on, what differences they'd like to make in terms of everything that they've experienced. And being an adaptable learner is so key. The world is so different from when I went to school and then went to college and then started working as a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher. I always wanted to be a teacher, and I remained on this path for my entire career. Our kids are going to pick multiple paths, and they're going to need to be patient and flexible, resilient, persevering. They're going to need to be able to navigate waters that I didn't have to navigate when I was a younger student preparing to be a teacher. So to that end, the question becomes, how are the learning opportunities we are providing our students explicitly connecting to the commitments in our learner profile? And how might we assist our students to go beyond, to really go beyond? Because I have a belief about how students learn. I believe that they will go as far as we invite them to go. And with technology, which I'm sure you know, we can go anywhere. But we also need that face-to-face connection at times with those around us, even when we're studying virtually, because it is with those relationships that we also grow. But I think we would all agree that in history, our world has had times where there have been pretty significant challenges to solve. And I would suggest that this time is, again, a very challenging time. Whether we're talking about political dynamics, whether we're talking about war in our world, climate change that impacts, poverty that exists, and a mass of other challenges that we need to face, we will rely on our students to help us, to lead, and to help get us to better places. Some other important considerations that we are thinking about, which very much align to wisdom I learned way back in student success work in 2003, that we're still bringing to life in 2023. Student voice and choice matters. Students are engaged when they're connected meaningfully to what they're learning. We also need to align and to renew our assessment practices. Some of the traditional practices which rely heavily on tests and exams, rely heavily on a multitude of homework assignments that may or may not actually reflect what a student knows and understands. We have to be sure that our instructional practices lead to those skills, in our case, the learner profile, as I've described. Students need access to the learning opportunities that will allow them to be successful, and it cannot be a one-size-fits-all. Some students are great in a classroom setting. Others demand more virtual opportunities. Some students need to be more in groups. Some students need to be independent. Regardless, if we look at each and every student and develop a program that they can be successful in, and then think about the structures and processes and systems from that student-centric place, I do believe the transformation we've been talking about for over 3 decades will certainly come to life. And we need to leverage technology, and we need to embrace technology. We're hearing all kinds of different reactions about artificial intelligence, and I know there's still plenty to figure out. But I will suffice it to say that it's not going away. And actually, if you've tried it, it provides a really great tool that can deepen our learning, that can assist with tutoring and coaching, that can help us think beyond our own experience, but then there still is our part to contribute. AI can't replace the human ability to connect, to be intuitive, to communicate in a way that inspires a room, to think about the relationships that are important and how to communicate and share, to build those relationships. So there's so much more that we still must teach our students, even while we think about what AI will bring. So let me go back to where I started. Why is it so hard for us to change? You know, the Carnegie Unit of 1909 looked at learning as a certain amount of hours in seats so that students can receive a credit. The Carnegie Unit spoke a lot about individual disciplines or fields. We know learning doesn't happen like that. We understand that learning, authentic learning, is truly interdisciplinary and creative, and the boundaries between subject areas or disciplines get blurred. But more importantly, we also know that learning happens way beyond the time that a student is sitting either physically or virtually in a seat. But our whole culture is aligned with the Carnegie unit still to this day. Elementary prepares students for middle school to high school to college and post-secondary opportunities. And again, I think the call to action is to help our students be curious, effective learners. We need to help them reflect on what that means. We need to give them strategies to help them grow, and regardless of the discipline, regardless of the learning task or assignment, our students see themselves as learners. And I think that is going to be the most important gift that we can give to our students. We've made some progress. Don't get me wrong, there have been some transformations. But I think that what's happening around us right now and the changes in our culture and the changes in technology are going to take what has always been required and make it mandatory more quickly, from my perspective. So in closing, what is it that we're inviting our students to learn? How deep are the learning tasks that our students are engaged in? How authentic is what we're inviting them to learn to their own experience, to the experience of others, so that we can create a human community that is a healthy one and not one divided. If our kids can truly think and create, collaborate and communicate as effective learners, they can do anything. So again, whether you are in any part of this globe listening right now, we are one human community. Yes, we are a myriad of diverse cultures, and yes, there would be some difference to our educational systems. But at the end of the day, we're committed to our students. We want to make their lives better, and we want to make our world better. We are privileged as educators because we can make that difference. Thanks again to Rosedale. I appreciate this invitation. Thank you to the Global Student Success Forum for the learning that you're going to have. I hope this keynote address gives you some things to think about. I hope it inspires you a bit, and all the best. Take care.